pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. April, could you let the record show we are all present?
Yes.
All right, we're going to move on to the approval of the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
I'll support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're going to move on to the approval of the agenda. And I do have a deletion tonight. LT and I are working along with this SRO situation, and we have to remove that tonight. We're not quite finished with our discussion yet, so we'll have to bring it possibly to the next board meeting. So I'd like to delete that as B of new business.
I'll move the approval of the agenda as amended, which is the removal of item 10B.
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving on to announcements and communications. Anyone have anything they'd like to announce? Or communicate?
Oh, I should announce that we did receive the library bond. We sold it last Thursday, and we got a wonderful rate. So it was just a little over 4%, but for the market, actually it had gone down 0.5% the day before, so we lucked out on that. And I told you it's a 20-year bond, and we actually received the funding, so we're all good. We're in good shape with that.
Yeah.
Nice.
0.5% or 0.25%? Did you say half or quarter it went down?
I think they said 0.5%.
That's a lot of money on
It
that
is.
kind of a
It
loan
is.
for 20
We
years.
did very
Yeah,
well.
That's great.
We got 5 bids actually for that, so, and Raymond James bought it.
Okay.
So, just some information.
Very good. We like that.
Yep.
Anyone else? All right, seeing none, we're going to move to call to the public, where you can come up and talk about non-agenda related items. Anybody? Seeing nobody, we're going to move on to reports. First report is the DDA. Amy,
Good evening, everyone.
how you doing?
No.
Included with your packets was a copy of our DDA 2025 annual calendar, so you'll see that referenced in the packets. All of our events are scheduled out. A couple items may be moving, but this is our tentative schedule as it sits now, so I'll keep you updated. Since our last meeting, there's just a few things to highlight. I had been attending regular monthly meetings for strategic planning for the New Hudson Drain Cleanout. We're coming closer and closer with that project. We've been working with CES and some of our stakeholders on that. We had the opportunity to submit for some RAP grant requests for events for this summer through Oakland County. We are working with all of our committees on year-end reporting for our accreditation through Main Street America. We should have all of that submitted in the next week and a half or so. So we'll be retaining our accreditation status. We are continuing work on the TIF agreement. We sent a copy of it in and were asked to do some updates on our budgeting numbers because it was submitted and put together so long ago before it actually got turned in. We had to update it with new millage rates. So we met with our financial advisors, got the new rates. Thank you to Patty for the help with that. And the plan is being updated to match the new numbers through McKenna. And we should have that. Chris is out of town this week, but next week I should have another copy of it to resubmit again. So we'll be moving that forward. Our DDA board, this next meeting that'll be taking place next week, we'll be discussing our strategic planning feedback that we had from our session that took place last fall. We are also working on getting a quote for some outside companies to do a fundraising strategy for the DDA that we'll be using for this year's fundraising marketing. We have a few events that are coming up that I want to make you aware of. We're going to be doing our Lion Rock scavenger hunt again this April. Our Economic Vitality Committee is hosting a networking breakfast on Tuesday, April 1st. You all should have received some invitations through your Outlook events. That's going to be held from 8:30 to 10 a.m., tentatively at BEMA's. It's going to be in the format of kind of State of the Township, where we'll be doing updates on what's going on in the township with the help of Brian Kesey. We'll also be doing what's going on in the DDA, what projects we have coming up. We have reached out to the library. They're going to be doing an update for the public on their progress too. So if you would like to attend, please follow the link that I had sent you, and we do need you to register online through our sign up to ensure that we have enough space for everyone. And lastly, two things. We'll be hosting a walking workshop tour of our downtown area with both our Economic Vitality and our Design and Appearance Committee at our April 12th meeting from 12 to 2, if anyone would like to take part. We're going to be walking the downtown area, keeping in mind places that we could improve on signage, where we could possibly put some holiday decorations, planters, things that are needed in the downtown. So we just want to do an actual on-site walkthrough through that area with both of those committees. And then last thing, based on our last executive committee meeting, we discussed that we really would like to move forward with planning a workshop with the DDA, with the planning committee, and with your board. So I sent some initial communication to the 3 elected officials requesting that we could try to set something up for maybe this summer, if possible, early summer. So hopefully look forward for some information on that if everybody would like to agree to host one of those, where we can all talk about goals for the DDA, what you would like to see happen in the downtown, and make sure that we're all following the same direction. So, any questions?
Nope.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Amy. Moving on, Chief Madeline.
Good evening.
Hi, Chief.
Good evening.
So for the month of January, our average training per team member was 15 hours last month, and we actually did host an electric vehicle and battery response training class. It was taught by Chief O'Brien from Brighton Area Fire. He's like probably one of the nation's experts leading the battery technology and response type training. So we actually invited him in to do a training for our department, the whole department, and we also actually invited our neighboring mutual aid departments. So we had Milford, South Lyon, and Wixom in attendance at that. So they all received the same training we did, which was huge. It was held on a Saturday morning. That was about 4 hours long. Everyone liked that training. And then our run numbers are up from last year by 11. So this year we were at 182 for the month of January, where last year we were at 171. And good news, hopefully by tomorrow morning, new engine 2 will be up and running in service. So today we worked out some of the last minute bugs on it with the dealership. They came out, and the crews right now are at the station swapping the equipment over. So hopefully by the end of the night, but for sure by the morning, engine 2 should be up and running. Any questions?
Very good.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Chief. Lieutenant, anything from the Sheriff's Department?
There's always it's classified, though. Some things I can't share. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
First off, for those of you that don't know, we experienced a burst pipe downstairs. So I'm working with securing some new quotes. I've learned that we need the injectable foam to avoid destroying all of the nice tiled walls that we have up. So there was a misunderstanding between one of the last contractors, and they wanted to tear everything up. I just assumed they could go with a drywall up top, but no, they want to tear the tile, so that's a no-no. We're going to work through it. I should know some more by the week. Next up, I furnished a copy of the year-end triennial report. Does anyone have any questions? All right, see, the numbers are pretty consistent. And hopefully, our cost of service go down now that the freeway's open. Knock on wood. But as you know, we're still taking all the calls on the freeway, but it's going to be like that for the foreseeable future, as far as I know. But these decisions are made above my rank. All right. Next order of business. I was all prepared to talk about the SROs, but it's off the table. So, does anyone have any questions about?
I had a comment about your triennial report, your substation walk-ins, and I'm
Yes.
not sure how you track that either, but you might want to give the library a call, because I think they track like everything that goes on with foot traffic. So they might have something, or there might be some kind of program. I don't know.
Okay, it would
I'm
be,
not sure. I read it, so I just wasn't sure if you knew, because I know Holly does a lot of tracking of all of that, because I think that's how they generate a lot of things for the library.
Okay.
So, was by foot traffic.
I could call Captain Schneider and ask him to put just a tab that's searchable,
Yeah.
and have Selnick do it whenever they
Yeah,
walk in.
I'm just not sure how else you can do it either, because I know they probably swipe a lot of library cards, but there's gotta be people that
Yes.
come in that don't have that also, so,
All right.
okay, just.
I can do that. I can do the phone calls that come into the substation too.
Yeah.
They're all kind of just jumbled in right now, but, hey, those are all calls for service, correct? All right. Next order of business is the DEA. We're partnering with the DEA again on April 20th, Saturday, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. What we do here is we take back prescription medication. As all you know, we have a box downstairs that's open Monday through Friday. But for these events, we staff it on the weekends for the people that can't make it, and it's open from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. There are certain things that are not permissible, but it's written on the side of the box, and we kind of go over that with people. It's usually just no liquids, sir.
And what day was that again?
It's going to be April 25th. I'm sorry, it's April 26th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. 2025, so Saturday. All right.
Catherine can
That's-
put that in our newsletter too, because she was just asking for
Okay.
items.
And you know, I think there have been some updates. I'm going to ask, is it Melanie that updates our website? Because we no longer are allowed to give out reports here at the substation.
Oh, it's Catherine, so,
Catherine,
yeah.
okay, I'll send her an email.
Yeah.
I'll get it right. All right. That concludes my report. Does anyone have any questions for me? All right, thank you. It's kind of warm here. You guys, huh?
It is.
Yes.
Okay.
I was
Turn
gonna
it
say
down
that.
just one notch. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Under the heat lamp there, LT. All right, we're gonna move on to planning commission. Patty, anything in the planning?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, yes, sorry. Yes, now you know we only have one meeting a month, and our meeting was Monday, January 13th. And we had no public hearings. Everybody was in attendance, and we had, under old business, we had that Beast Wash, the site plan review, and that was approved, but they're coming to the ZBA.
Stole my
Just telling
thunder.
ya, Lisa, celebrate. In the next, I think it's 2 weeks, in the next 2 weeks. So it's for their dumpster. They need they wanna put it in, I don't know, what is it, Brian, the rear, the front?
Because it's a corner.
Yeah,
They want to
it's-
put it in the back corner.
Yeah, it's really an odd place, but anyways, so they were very happy with that. Then we had, the front yard setback and for accessory buildings text amendment. This again still gets a lot of discussion. So I think a lot of it has to do with corner lots. So I know, Brian, we tabled it again for some more discussion and some more revisions. And I think Brian's gonna tackle that, probably check with Carol's office, Kristen, to see how that unfolds. Then we had the fuel pump and EV charging station screens, and they really would like it to be the same size as a gas station screen. That was one thing they wanted, and, but they still wanted some revisions. And so we also tabled that for some additional information from Brian. Then we had under new business, we had the Lion Medical Center extension of the property, which is right next door, which connects with our driveway. And we did give them a 1-year extension. Why can't I think of his name all of a sudden? Bobby Langen was here, Jr., and he said, you know, they have it up for sale, they're trying. They were hoping that this would have moved along a lot faster, but the planning commission granted him a 1-year extension. And then we had this was just for discussion, a residential screening requirements, and Brian's gonna bring it back with some information so that we can actually have a good discussion on that. And that concluded my report. Any questions?
Okay. Thank you. Next, ZBA.
Well, we will have a meeting. This meeting will take place on Tuesday, February 18th.
Oh, yeah, that's because it's after, yeah.
And it is, as Patty mentioned, it is to deal with the location of a dumpster and the rear yard setback.
Nice. Well, that'll give you a meeting finally.
Yes.
All right, building department, Jay is not with us tonight. He couldn't make it. Unfortunately, we had hired a building official and he didn't take the job. So we're back to square one again. and Jay wants to move, so we put it out for advertisement again, and we'll see what brings in. There's not a lot coming in, just so everyone knows. But Jay said he'd stay with us until we got it figured out, so just to let you know about that. And then tonight, the water meeting, hey, I have AOP here that he can give us the update on the softening plant. Ed, if you'd like to come up and just give them a quick update on how that's going.
All right. Good evening. It's good to see you all again.
Yeah, nice to see you.
For a while there, I thought I was a member of the family, and I've kind of been orphaned here for a little while, so it's good to see you all. Hope you had all had a good holiday. Softening plant, South Hill's moving along. It was moving along in earnest, and then we got that cold snap that kind of slowed us down a little bit, but we're still moving along there, and I think the learning curve at Woodwind is worked its way out now, and the Woodwind plant is operating very well, and we're going to build South Hill as quick as we can and get it up and running. Obviously, there's long lead items that have to be manufactured for that plant, and we're moving them along as quick as we can. Building hopefully will be ready for us when the equipment's ready. So that's, at the end of the day, that's where that's our main focus right now for Lyon Township, is to get that softening plant up and running. And
Okay.
so
Yeah, any questions for Ed while he's here about that softening plant? I know I've been trying to fill everyone in as best I can, so it's good to have you here.
yeah.
Just a ballpark when you think it'll be.
I knew you
What
was
your
going to ask
construction
Chris.
schedule
I knew. I said Chris is going to ask me when it's going to be done. So, I want to say August, September, as a best guess right now. But it really depends on what the rest of the winter looks like here. Just looking at, I'm hoping by the end of this year we're going to have that thing up and running. And, so.
Okay, anyone else? See, I like you asking him that instead of me.
That's fine. Just gotta, you can't water your lawn as much.
I'm gonna dial it back. I'll run a hose from your house.
All right, well, that's good. Then we're going to conclude the reports, and we're going to move on to unfinished business, which we have none. So we're going to move on to new business, which our first item of new business is the new 1-million-gallon water tower that we are obligated to build across our northern border, and I'll leave it like that. So we got moving along here, and we came to the conclusion that Ed and AOP has built every single piece of our water system, and we would like to just use this as a change order and move this thing forward and get it produced on our northern border there. We've been getting a ton of calls now from the Milford residents wanting to know why they're paying for a water tower that's not there. And the water tower that they're paying for is the payback to Pulte. It has nothing to do with us, but because we sell the water and our name's on the water contract, it becomes our problem. So that's what's really promoting this thing to get moving, and from my conversations with this tower, this is a 2-year process, so it would be nice to get this thing moving. So that being said, I would like to go ahead and open it up to Ed, and Ed, you can kind of give us a once-over of what this all is about, and I asked him to come to fill everyone in on what this includes. So Ed, go ahead.
Well, one thing that happens in Lyon Township is you grow, okay? Every time I come up here, there's more houses, okay? And more houses need more water. This 1-million-gallon tank will make you a nice, robust system that should take you into the future quite nicely. As you know, we have a 1-million-gallon tank down on 9 Mile, and then we have the tank over here at New Hudson and the tiny one at Blue Cross. But this extra 1 million gallons is really needed at this point. I just drove through the subdivision over there. It looks like they have a ton of houses already sold. So you know, you're creeping by okay, but it's always good to have reserve water. And you know, Lyon Township, as you know, is kind of a unique system where you use 8-9 million gallons a day during the summer, and then you're at a million gallons a day on a weak winter day. Now you're at 1.5 million, and Eagle's you know, formula is you should have at least 1 day storage in the air. So you know, we need this extra 1 million gallons to get us over that January day when the average flows are. So John asked me to relook at this thing. We looked at it a couple years ago, and I've sharpened the pencil and refigured it and today's pricing, and you know, we ended up at $5,438,000, which is an all-inclusive. It's engineering, it's getting it through Planning Commission in Milford Township. It's you know, Eagle permits. It's a complete system, fenced in with generator, automatic, you know, auxiliary generator for a power outage, and you know, everything's included in that. So.
And as you know, I mean, I don't know if you have known, but we have been putting generators on all of our tower systems just to keep the SCADA going in a blackout. We didn't do that down the road, and we lost some SCADA when we had some blackouts, and it was kind of scary. So now we've got generators on everything. Okay. So basically what I wanted to do is open this up for conversations through the board here and get your thoughts on the whole process, and ask questions to Ed while he's here, and if you have any questions. So please
Well,
go ahead.
I mean, Ed mentioned that it's $5.5 million, but Trustees already paid.
3.5.
It's a letter of credit.
Right, they've paid 3.5. So this is not just for that neighborhood, this is not for this is for the entire system. And so as much as I can appreciate the users in Milford looking at their bill and complaining that there's not a tower, that tower is their tower, it's our tower, it's everybody who turns a faucet on and gets a drop of water from the system's tower. So things can only move so fast. This is something that we've been talking about for years. This is part of kind of the master plan for water, and I think it makes sense to move ahead now. Ed, you know our specs. You've been working on our system for years. This will match the tower that we just recently built. John, you and I had a conversation a couple of weeks ago, and while we received some other pricing, they were not apples and apples, right? These are not the kinds of towers we're looking for. We're not looking for the old bulb tower that's a maintenance nightmare like we have, you know, at Blue Cross and next door at Fire Station 1. That's not the way we're going. It's not the direction we're going long term, and so I feel like there are a lot of reasons why the timing is right for this now, and that it makes sense, at least in my estimation, for us to move ahead with AOP. You know, we've done a lot of infrastructure improvements over the last number of years, and you know, Ed, you mentioned that this is an all-inclusive price. The pricing you gave us is always like that. It's, you know, not nickel and diming us. So you wanted it, you know, a color on it. You wanted a name on it. You wanted, you know, a light switch in here. It's extra. You know, everything with you always is, and I think that's how we want it. I mean, when we build infrastructure for the community, you want it to have a generator. You don't want to do it later. It needs to be fully functional, independent, there when you need it today. Not, you know, we'll add on to it in the future kind of an approach. So I'm good with it. The money's there, both, you know, in the system, there's the money to pay for this. It's been planned for. I appreciate you bringing it to us this way now, John, and moving this along so we can get it going. So,
you know, I want to say another thing about Ed that goes unrecognized is he spends any time I call him on the phone, he's right here. He takes care of everything in the system. Never charges for that, ever. He has never charged us any consultant fees, and I mean that's just priceless for me, because I can always pick the phone up and I never get a bill for that.
yeah, we don't get nickel and dime.
And I haven't for the whole time we've been in it. So I do give him credit for that. I mean, a huge credit for that. And he knows our system.
Well, and hopefully we've proven because we've been here several years now, I mean, we got a very dependable system. I mean, that's the other thing that, you know, it's worked well for you, and as I said, you know, or John said, you know, we're with you all the way. We're your partner now. We're your water partner, and we want to see your system be successfully operated, and you know, I believe that the proof's in the pudding after all these years, and so what we'll end up with at Milford is a very high quality tower, just like down at 9 Mile. I don't think we've even touched 9 Mile's tower in
We haven't.
5 or 6 years, or however long it's been. And so it'll be shorter because it's setting up on a hill, but it'll look just like 9 Mile Tower, basically. So
The one last question I had, the filling station that we decided to add to 9 Mile, so water haulers would have the ability to buy, you know, bulk water. Is that something that makes sense at this location?
I don't know, it's kind of tucked back in the back.
yeah, this would,
Accessibility
know.
is more of a challenge, even though it's close to the expressway, getting there is not.
you have such beautiful access on your 9 Mile
We do.
Tower. I mean,
It really works well, too.
I just wanted to
yeah.
verify.
There's no water station on this one, but because I think the location doesn't lend itself to.
Challenging.
It's kind of back in the very far corner along the freeway there. It's kind of back in there.
Okay, thanks.
Anybody like to ask anything? Any questions?
Just since you phrased it as being a change order,
Mhm.
and my recollection on some of these things isn't perfect here. Obviously, the prices would have been changed to reflect current pricing, but is the design basically what we had always been looking at there?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, it always was a 1,000,000-gallon tank. It always was glass lined. It was, you know, the specifications have not really modified over the time period that we've talked about it.
Right.
So
if on some chance we ever needed to go beyond 1,000,000 at that site, is there the ability to add, like we've added additional at 9 Mile? Or is it just kind of
Well,
constrained with
you
the
could-
space you have, this is what's gonna go there and that's what we're gonna get?
I forget, what'd you end up getting, an acre?
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think we have enough.
That,
I don't think we have enough, I think we got 2 acres.
that site's gonna be a little tight to do any kind of ground storage,
Right.
so.
All right, and then I think you said the letter of credit from Pulte is 3.5,
Mhm.
so that would, have we used any of that yet? Or is
No.
that would come off that, so the system would end up paying the balance basically on this, right?
That's correct.
All right. That's
Okay,
I got it.
all I got.
go ahead, Chris.
So, Sean, I think you mentioned it, or maybe John, you mentioned it. One of you mentioned that there were bids at one point on this that were taken.
There were.
And is this? I guess I wasn't aware of it, but is this pricing competitive with those bids, and when were those done?
It is, it's competitive, it's actually lower than, one of them, but it was done, I wanna say about 18 months ago, maybe 2 years
Maybe
ago
2 years
even,
ago.
and the bids, it was bid as a design build, and the bids we received were not apples to apples, in my opinion, and so my recommendation to the officials were to reject the bids. But knowing there's also a sunset on the Pulte contribution, and the infrastructure prices just continue to go up, it is important to have the storage as part of the reliability function of your water system, so it is important for this to move forward in the near future. So it would be my recommendation to move forward with this at this time, but I can't remember the exact dates of the bids. That was,
It's probably 2 years ago.
it was about that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Maybe
I
a
guess,
year and a
you know, I have no issue with AOP or anything, it's just, it's a very large number for a change order, and I don't know, I mean, I assume our purchasing policy allows us to do a change order on something like this without the,
We checked
The
with
bidding.
Carol.
okay, but yes, we
That was the
should,
first thing we did, actually.
okay, but yeah, definitely, we have 3.5 million toward it, so,
Does seem like a large number, but when you look at the whole contract, I mean, I think it was originally a $16 or $18 million
16
contract,
million.
so.
16.
It,
Yeah.
in perspective, you know, you gotta keep everything in perspective, but yeah, so. And, you know, especially when, you know, I'm probably tooting my own horn here, but, you know, when especially concerning your water system, you want continuity. You want to know, you want one company to know everything that's going on, and the skate up there, we'll need to talk to the skate at Woodburn in South, or Woodlawn.
Wind.
Woodwind. Woodwind and South Hill. And, you know, everything has to work together at the end of the day. And mixing apples and oranges sometimes causes a lot of, especially in a system this size. Because you guys always think of yourself as a small township, but you pump a lot of water here, okay? You've grown into a large township or a lot of water usage here, and to operate it smoothly day in and day out, you got to have all your T's crossed and your I's dotted. So,
Will this add pressure to the northern part of our township? I mean, will it give us any
Well,
more pressure? Or, I know it's all the same, and the height
Yeah.
and the pressure and the pump.
the overflow on this tower will be exactly the same elevation as the overflow on the 9 Mile and the overflow on the New Hudson. Okay, so technically it won't add any pressure. And this is a very difficult site too, because you have homes built up on the hill, and then you have homes built down by the lake. Okay, and over there right now, I don't, you know, I spoke to Anthony before I come up today, but you know, there's probably a 40-pound difference between below and up above right now, and so you really can't take this one any higher. So no, I think the answer to that question is no, we're not going to really increase the pressure at all. We will have volume, obviously. We'll have another 1 million gallons stored up there for use, and but I don't know that the residents will see any pressure difference.
Do you know what the average pressure for one of our users is?
It's between 40 and 60. I mean,
Yeah, it's all over the place. You really have
Saddle Creek
Quite
is like 200.
Yeah, I have a PRV on my house, so it doesn't blow the fittings off a pressure relief valve.
Blows them off the hot water tank.
Yeah, you've got
It's good
You
for
know.
exfoliation.
you've got quite a change in elevation here, and so that causes that. You're not nearly as bad as some systems I'm building, you know, and we just finished a system where we left the water plant at 380 psi, but it was pumping right up a mountain and down in southern Ohio. So you don't have that huge a variation, but you do have a variation. You get people at 40 and you have people at 100, or I don't know what Sean's is at. But
Okay, anybody else on it? Any questions? Anyone? Okay,
Logos, we're just gonna match the logo with the other tower. So
that might have to still be up for talk,
I don't know.
because we got,
Maybe we might have to include Milford.
we may have to do,
Just face it north.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk to them.
Yeah. But you'd include the logos on it, right?
yeah.
Said, I already saw that, it did say that,
And I-
graphics on.
And I already advised my office that I'm not sure what logo they're gonna go with, because it's in Milford Township, but it belongs to Lyon Township, so we're aware that something might be different, okay, than what the 9 Mile Tower is. And, we can, I'd love to put, you know, Ed up there, or my face, you know, but.
That sounds nice.
Come on, we're trying to bring people, not skip them.
Yeah, it's just,
Does anybody feel good about it? Want to make a motion to move this thing forward and let's get this tower built?
Alright, is there a number here? I'll make a motion to approve the change order from Artesian Pioneer dated January 17th, included in our packet tonight, to construct a 1 million gallon water tower on the north side of the township.
Okay,
I'll support that.
all right, we have a motion and support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thanks.
thank you, John, thank you,
for
board,
coming up
appreciate
here.
the trust in our company, and we'll get this done as quick as we can, and we'll get your South Hill softening on as quick as we can as well, so, thank you very much.
Thanks, Ed.
Thanks.
Thanks, Ed.
All right, we're gonna move beyond the SRO and move to the 9-mile water main from Pontiac Trail to Griswold. And this is a discussion that we thought we better have because we had a little situation that happened where we had a leak down on the Leo's, the Coney Island, down by 8 Mile. And we had to do it on first thing in the morning because we had to shut the line down to fix the leak. And when we shut the line down, we had to shut the whole system down because we have no redundancy going to the northern part of our township on the south end. I mean, south end of the northern part of the south end. Okay. So we came up with a conclusion, Leslie and Anthony and I have been talking about, it would be nice to get a line up 9 Mile Road in order to get the redundancy to the northern side of our southern township.
The southwest corner.
It does sound funny, but, and that's what this is all about. And I know Leslie's can answer any questions, and I think you all know what I'm talking about. It is going to be a very difficult line, I believe, because of how it has to go down and because of the side of the road it probably needs to go on. It's gonna be an easement situation with neighbors, and there's already a force main, I believe, going down 9 miles, so we have to stay 10 feet away. So this is a project that may go on a while, but we wanted to try to get it started. So this probably could be okay tonight to move it forward, but I'm thinking it's gonna be a while before it actually takes place. So Leslie, you wanna add anything to that? I mean,
Just, it's been in your capital improvement plan since, the last date I found was 2017. It is an important section to loop to provide redundancy to that area, and you're seeing a lot of customers connect to your system. There's actually quite a few users down there. You have a senior apartment complex and some commercial entities, and the timing of this incident that John mentioned was right before Christmas, and just made us really look at this closer at our last water meeting. So we did update the cost estimate for the project, a conceptual cost estimate. There are definitely complexities trying to add another utility to the south side of the road. You also have a railroad crossing. So the timing of actual construction, we won't know until after design and permitting and through the railroad approval process. But regardless, that really doesn't change. Whenever you do the project, you're gonna have those complexities to work with. And so we've updated the cost estimate, and accordingly, our proposal is based on the cost estimate per our contract. And then we've also provided a quote for topographic survey and processing, a wetland evaluation. There's some wetlands on the west side of Griswold, on the north and south side, since we're not really sure at that corner where we'll be. That would have to get located, and along with some soil borings along the route, so we know what type of groundwater we're dealing with, and soils for construction plans. And the quote also includes permitting through the process and preparing bid documents. Easement negotiations are not included because they're very difficult to predict. Some go very smooth and some do not. So in the proposal, the total cost for the survey, the design and bidding is $187,759 for your consideration, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
okay, thank you, Leslie. And I believe this line's about, what, 3.5 miles?
It's over a mile. It's
No,
over-
I'm talking about the dead end line
the
that we
dead end,
have. I
yes.
believe it's
It's
about
about-
3.5 miles. Yeah. So it's quite long.
It's, yeah, in that neighborhood. 2 miles, maybe?
Anyone have any questions about this project or why we have to do it, or?
No, I mean, I think needs to be done. It's not an easy project. Do you, I guess, I don't wanna get too engineering, but like, is there, I know you have to go under the railroad tracks, but there's like some pretty significant banks on the south side. Is there a possibility of being able to directional drill a lot more of this than just the railroad? Is that?
Oh, most of it, we are proposing to directional drill
Okay.
in the updated cost estimate, because the original estimate from the CIP actually was shown under the road. and talking about that, we're like, that doesn't make the most sense. If we can get the easements, let's keep it under Greenbelt, but just from experience negotiating with people, it goes a lot smoother if you're not open cutting their entire front yard for X number of months. So we did the estimate that way, but usually the railroads require bore and jack with casing. I don't know if they would, I don't think they would approve a directional drill. It's just another,
No, that
basically you have
one's
to
fine.
dig pits on each side and put a steel casing and then your water pipe through it. That's pretty typical for railroads. It's, I think their part of it, the railroad and the easements will be the question mark as far as timeline though.
Okay, yeah, I saw 3,900 feet of directional drill, so I was curious if that was enough, because it seems like the whole thing almost.
Well, most of
But,
it, we're,
yeah.
yes.
Okay,
And I think the idea with this first leg of this whole thing is try to figure it out, you know, get the engineering done and see if we can get the easements and talk about all that stuff, Chris. You know, it's gonna be a project and no two ways about it.
Mhm.
But I think it's something we really need to do.
I think it's your most critical next leg to complete, just for redundancy alone.
Anybody else have any questions?
No?
I think it needs to be done.
Anyone against doing this, or is everyone good with moving this forward, at least to the engineering part of it?
I mean, if it's gotta happen at some point, and it's the next thing on the list, then
It's on the, yeah, it's on the list.
it's not great.
Okay, and then a motion would be in order to approve the engineering, and we can get this thing moving. Anyone?
I'll make a motion to approve the design services for the 9-mile water main from Pontiac Trail to Griswold in the amount of $187,759. Award that to CES.
I'll support.
All right, we have a motion and support. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you, guys. We'll get this thing built. Moving on to the personnel policy, and this is Michelle. She has worked hard on this thing.
Oh, I didn't work as hard as Laura did. We were just trying to all get it figured out. Patty, John, and I had talked, after Laura had met with Angie and I, regarding the changes of effective February 21st from the state of Michigan, requiring 72 hours of sick time. And we also had given our employees the 48 hours of sick/personal time, whichever way they chose to use it. So we were trying to separate it out and then trying to keep track, because they can take up to 40 hours to carry over for, let's say they know they've got an upcoming planned surgery or future baby planning, whatever it may be, they can carry over up to 40 hours. So we're hoping by the end of this month that Paychex will have something in the system to help us with that. But we decided to mash it together just because it would be easier on everyone, and if they don't have to carry it over, that's great. They can just use it as personal time. So because we took the opportunity to do the update, we also updated for our hours that we now are 10 hours, we're open 9.5 hours, so everyone's working 38 hours, and our manual had reflected days off, so we now made the changes to reflect hours off instead, because they are able to take, you know, in increments of a half hour. So we had done that. So the 72 hours are going to like our 7.5 days now, which will give them an additional 2.5 days to use as sick/personal time. And that's all we could really do, instead of trying to take away personal time and add sick time only. Is we just thought that was going to be a nightmare. So we'll try it. See what happens, and if it doesn't work out, we'll have to figure something else out. But that was the updates, you know, in the manual, where our hours, not working Fridays anymore, we took some of the holidays away, so they got it in sick days, you know, sick hours instead. So kind of measured or balanced itself out. Any questions from anybody, or Kristen can help me answer something?
I do,
Yep.
and I think, really quick, Michelle, 6.1, I think the little line at the bottom, it says the board sets the actual, so holidays, like for example, Good Friday and the day after Thanksgiving
Right.
automatically come out, because they're always on Friday.
Right.
But, and some of the holidays are always on a Monday, but
Yes.
some of them rove around, so on those days,
Yes, they will
on that
change.
Friday,
Yep.
this is clear enough, you believe, to say, so on a Friday, you're not getting paid
For Independence.
for an independent, if Fourth of
You are
July
getting
falls on a
paid.
Friday,
Yeah, because
you're just
Right.
off, but
You're
you're not
off
also
already.
getting paid for the day, just so there's no confusion.
it does fall this year, 4th of July does fall on the Friday.
Right.
But it's gonna change, like you said, it'll move around, it'll be on a weekend or a Monday, and then we'll get it off again, so. But the other two, for sure, we had to take away, because they're always the day, they always are on a Friday, so.
And it does say the township board sets the actual days of
Yep.
holidays are observed,
Yeah,
which
'cause
is
you did that with the
true
budget.
to some extent, but, I just wanna make sure there is no confusion.
Okay,
that,
yeah, and
you
I
know.
planned on sitting down with everyone, because I would really like to talk to, we've got some new people that kind of like slid in, and they get this booklet and they sign the paper, but
Right.
they didn't have an opportunity, they didn't really have any questions, and I'd rather kind of like bring a few items up and just go, do you have any questions? Because we've got some people that are tacking on some holidays that aren't fair for other people in departments, so I just want to talk to them and just say, hey, just to make it fair, you can't just take every holiday with your vacation off, and they're not supposed to be using personal/sick time with holidays either, so it's just a request that needs to be approved by Patty, John, or I, so.
Okay.
Just a little, I think if I sat down and went over the manuals with everybody, and then even if they wanted to take them home, but just bring the signature back for their personnel file to know that they reviewed it and if they had any questions. Got some time to do that coming up, so it'll work out good to talk to everybody.
Sure.
Michelle, I have a question about
Sure.
page 16, at the very bottom, where it says, and others who are related by blood or affinity, whose close association with the employee is the equivalent of a family relationship.
Yep, that is wording that Laura sent to us, that was part of the Sick Time Act. For whatever reason, she changed that on us twice because it was updated by them.
Okay,
So, because a lot of this I wouldn't consider family members, but they do in this act or the law
So
that was passed.
the part that's in red,
Yep.
is that part of the law?
Yes, that is part of what she said the second time she sent it to me to
Okay.
change. So, yeah, she said,
Okay.
hey, this blurb came out, can you please replace it since you haven't done your,
Got it.
done your booklet?
I mean, I
yet?"
like it, but
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
didn't know if that was part of the
Nope,
law.
it's part of it, and that's why she sent it to me, because I did not do any of this part with the
Okay.
ESTA.
And then my other question is on page 24.
Mhm.
And in item 10.5 with the health insurance coverage waiver.
Yes. Mhm.
And the table of contents of this says that it was last amended August 7th of 2023.
Mhm.
So my question is, to clarify, we don't annually approve this.
No.
So my recommendation would be that instead of identifying an actual amount, where it says the $4,000, that maybe we have it to say that amount shall be paid, or the person shall be paid an amount as determined in the annual budget.
Okay.
So that way we don't have to keep updating
Perfect.
the manual to
Yep.
reflect what the budget says.
Yep, we were trying to catch everything that we had missed, so that would be lovely if everybody likes that. Budget.
And those are my only two comments.
Okay, I like that too.
That's what I was gonna say, yeah, so
That's
those,
really
those
good.
numbers were just the numbers that we updated
Did
during
it.
the budget process
Yep.
to account for what we're
Like,
paying
yeah.
more for.
2 years ago, yep. And it wasn't in the policy manual, so good idea, thank you.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
I had a couple, Michelle. Well, everybody, I guess. 3.8, weapons not permitted on the premises. So we have an ordinance officer who's a retired sheriff's deputy, and he also does the most thankless job in the township. So I'm just gonna say that if he's a retired police officer, he has a CPL, I would have absolutely no objection to him carrying, and I would expect that he would want to have on his person or in his vehicle when he's driving to remote areas to confront people who are not maybe wanting to see him, the ability to,
He doesn't, Mark does not carry.
I guess I would, I don't,
Yeah, and to me, that would be fine. This was actually set up in our manual originally, and we just never did anything with it because there was no really like law change or anyone asking for it to change. I mean, of course, our officers come with their
and
gear
so
on.
does every resident who has a CPL comes into our
We just don't
building
know.
and our parks and our parking lots and all the
Yeah.
places that we don't allow our
Yeah.
employees to carry a gun with the CPL.
Mhm.
I'm just asking that maybe we look at that
Okay.
again. Because I'm saying if
Yeah.
as a resident can come in
Okay.
and under state law carry,
Right,
a firearm do we want?
Kristen, what do you think? Should I send it to our
Your
new-
regional risk manager.
Okay,
That's us. I would wanna see what it does to our insurance costs if we're
Okay.
looking at
that sounds good.
something like that.
I'm just wondering.
Yeah.
I have
okay.
no problem with that. I think-
Right, because
Yeah,
if
I
I'm an
don't either.
employee and you're saying to me that the person who comes in who wants to scream at me,
No, I
you know,
get it. I
and
think,
Les in the gang
unfortunately,
doesn't
I-
babysit everybody who comes and goes, I think that's a real question. I mean, the
Yeah.
law provides for people to be able to come in and do business here on our properties
and
with.
I think Richard Carey, well, he was here as our maintenance guy, because he had a concealed permit. Huh?
I've seen you run and you are
Yeah.
fairly fast. I mean, not as fast as me.
Okay. All right, so I will ask about that, and then if we need another update, I'll bring it back.
I thought, because of the way it was very strongly worded, and
Yeah,
I thought
no, I get it.
maybe, but it also wasn't changed, so it had been that way for some time, and that's fine. The law has changed probably since the time that this was first written. Page 14,
Actually, can I ask a question to follow up with yours?
Please.
Because it also says that an employee shall not carry while on township property or while performing township duties. So if this sends our risk management up through the roof, I would at least like that addressed, because if you have a township employee who comes in after hours while not working and comes in to maybe pay his or her tax bill, they should be able to, if they have a CPL, they're an employee, they're on township property, but they're not working. So it's just that or is,
frankly, I don't know how we take rights away from our employees that the citizens who come in here have.
Right.
I agree, but if it puts her, if they're saying that we cannot include that, at least address that.
Yeah, it might be something that they say completely take out. I don't, like I said, I don't know. It's
Sure.
something that hasn't come up before that we had to address, even though we keep looking at the manual, which, again, it's a living, breathing
Yeah,
document that
and it
does
was
need
good
to be
reading
changed.
too, by
Yeah.
the way. I really enjoyed it.
It really isn't.
Job descriptions, I agree that the township board doesn't need to be involved in writing the job descriptions. I guess I just want to say for the record, obviously, we approve the budget, we approve the hiring of people because we approve the budget. So while I think, I just am acknowledging while the board is being taken out of writing a job description, which I don't believe the trustees really, we're not managing any departments. I don't see why you would want,
Right.
when you're hiring most jobs to.
We did do
know-
all that when we were looking at the raises. Patty put all those together, so we do have them on file. So we do have job descriptions. Do you want them in here?
No. What I'm saying is I think striking the whole township board, I think it's very
Oh.
efficient to bring all the job descriptions here. I think that's
Oh, the
something that
township
you
board
guys,
sits
the
here.
three of
Okay.
you,
Gotcha.
can do with the department heads.
Sean,
And
what page was that?
that's on page 14.
Okay, great. Oh, yeah. Job
So I
descriptions right
do
here.
like the
Okay, I
fact
see
that, because I feel like
Township board shall approve, so we did, yeah.
that would really
Check that out.
bog
Okay.
everything down if you're going to create a new job. And, I mean, not to say you can't bring it here, but I'm glad that you've taken it out because it shouldn't be required to be brought here. For
Okay.
example, I don't know what you need, an election worker's job description, you know what I
Right.
mean? It would be ridiculous for me to sit here trying to
Yep.
figure that out when you're the expert. Page 35.
Those other things, I assume we're just
It
talking
seems
about
like the personnel committee should either be able to fire everyone or no one. Seems like the fire chief isn't allowed to be fired by the personnel committee,
Nope.
but everybody else can. So I would think that either all department heads can be terminated by the personnel committee, or none of them can be terminated by the department, or by the personnel committee. And while I love Reg, you know, he just shouldn't be that special.
I think you should be.
So I guess I don't care which way it goes. It seems like if it's,
Is he also though isn't that position though the only position that we also have to hire?
Yep, it's the only one.
I'm just,
why
if,
it's in here like
That's
that.
I'm
probably
assuming
why
that's
it's
the
in there.
reason.
It-
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can't hire the fire chief, it's the only position,
It's
the
the
board
board.
has to do that.
I just feel like maybe that's something that, you know, we just put all the department heads in that same boat then.
Sounds good.
And there aren't that many of them,
Reggie,
but-
better be nice.
or wait, are we saying, which way are we saying?
I'm
to-
saying
to
all the
move?
department heads, maybe for termination, it says everybody but the fire chief. So
Right.
maybe it should just say all department heads instead of just the fire chief. Just throwing it out there. And then page 36. There is not currently anyone in the position, but I do think under 20.2, it should also include deputy supervisor.
Oh, yes.
So when that position is filled someday, at some point, whether it's tomorrow or in 20 years, we don't have to change this, sort of like Lisa's comment on the
Yep.
healthcare.
Okay. I'll go ahead
Yeah,
and get
that's
that.
good.
Yep, that was missed.
And that's all I have.
All good, all good.
Would you like me to do all this and then bring it back to approve next month? I'm fine with doing that. I mean, since we mashed our time together for sick/personal leave, it wasn't like getting this done. I mean, we put it back in January. People were already taking personal sick leave time, so we decided then to mash it together. So this is just to catch this up. So I don't mind fixing it and bringing it back to you for approval, or just
Would you
making
rather
the
us
changes.
give you the changes you brought and you can come back with some other changes?
Do I need other
Like, just,
changes?
well, like
Do
Sean's
you want it to be
changes.
approved?
I would
as
just
you-
approve
like-
what you guys
And then we just
decided.
amend it, like, would it be helpful to not wait for 30 days to get questions answered? I mean, if for 30 days it says,
I have no problem doing it today and then sending everybody the final, if you would like
you
that.
do that.
whichever way you want to.
Okay.
I mean, some of the changes are really small.
They are very
Some of
simple.
them, though, require you to communicate with, you
Yeah,
know.
well, the one I wouldn't be able to probably do right away would be getting a hold,
MRMA.
yes, getting a hold for the firearms, that would
Yeah.
be the only thing.
Then maybe we can revisit that one when you get
Next
an
time.
answer. Because what
Okay.
if you don't even have clarity next time? I don't
Yeah.
want to keep holding this off
Okay,
if you
yeah,
guys want to
let's
have
get
this
it
done.
done, so that way the employees have their times off and their days off, and we'll get that taken care of, but we'll work on that piece.
Okay.
For the rollover piece of this,
Oh, yeah, 40 hours.
so it's in here, it's got, the 38 versus the 40, but,
Yeah.
yeah, so, but then that's for vacation.
Oh,
But
vacation
then
is separate
that's
than
right,
sick leave.
that's the rollover of the 38 is vacation, but
Mhm.
then for the sick leave, it's saying you can roll over the 72, but
No.
you can't use more than 72 during the. I thought I read.
Yeah, but it's very confusing. I've read it 10 times.
Unused sick leave time will carry over to the following year unless the employee is separated from employment for over 6 months. However, the maximum sick leave available to be used per year is 72 hours, which is also the maximum they can earn. So I'm just like,
Well, it would
how
take a
does-
full year to earn 72 if you didn't take a day off. You know, if you
Right.
didn't take a sick day, a personal day.
Right, but like, say I didn't use anything for the year, and then I roll over that 72, I'm not effectively earning anything more than, because I can't use more than 72 during a year,
Right,
even whatever I rolled over,
That's their law.
right? I'm just,
Yeah.
it's
I know we're
it's a
trying to
weird thing,
understand
like,
it
what's the
also.
point of that piece, I guess, is where I'm saying, is it because we don't allow them to use in advance of when they accrued it, so that if I rolled over, I could use it at the beginning of the year, normally I wouldn't be able to?
I'm really not sure. I'm not sure what they were trying to do, because what had happened originally was she said that the law had stated that they could carry over up to 40 hours if they did not use it. And then I was thinking, well, let's say you go out on maternity leave and you want your 6 weeks of maternity leave and you waited your 2 years to carry over your time, plus your vacation time.
Right.
So you should be able to use it then. But we were hoping, like I said, that Paychex can finally put it in and we can keep track of all this, because otherwise it's just gonna be a spreadsheet on
Okay.
every employee on what they
All
can
right,
take
I mean,
over
I guess
and
if
carry
all
over
of
or
that
not.
language comes from the act, then
It
it
does.
is what
Oh,
it
yeah,
is.
it
I
comes
just,
right from the
I'm not
act.
sure,
Yep.
you know, which piece is something that we said versus what the act says.
Yeah, yeah. I know, they keep changing and updating, so until the 21st happens, and then I've already heard that they've already
I know-
started a lawsuit or something about trying to take it to court and,
Probably won't be.
you know,
Gotta
fix
wait.
it or try to make it more understandable. I'm not sure.
Given that, I mean, is there any point to having exactly what the act text is in the policy versus simply referring to the act? Otherwise,
She
we're gonna have to
wanted it-
keep changing
Well, we
this,
will
but-
probably anyhow,
Okay.
if something happens, and that's fine. I
Okay.
mean, I'm sure there'll be something else that'll come up, maybe
Yeah.
we'll have information on the other, and stuff Sean had asked about, so.
All right.
It might take place right away, it might take a couple of years.
And the vacation earning schedule is basically the same, it's
Same.
just converted to
To
hours
hours.
now instead
Mhm.
of.
Yep,
okay.
days,
Right.
yep, because the length of the day had changed.
Right.
So now it's hours, and they
So
are
when
able
you
to
start
do
at
that.
2 weeks, you
Mhm.
still start at 2 weeks, and you
Mhm.
still wind up
But
with the
it's
same.
9.5 hours per day.
Yeah, I like the hours anyway,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you can use them and you can use them
Hour
in less than,
increments.
right, less than
Yeah.
full days, so it
Yeah,
makes sense, yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
If I have a question about clarity on a page, can I
Yep,
just talk to
call
you
me.
about it?
Yep,
Okay,
give me a buzz.
I'll just talk after the meeting.
Okay, that sounds good.
Anyone else? Do you need a motion? to
I probably do,
approve
yes.
it?
Yep, we do need to approve it. There's a page on here that says we do.
So are we looking at approving what you submitted or
With the
plus
changes.
Sean's things except the carrying?
Yes, and Lisa's, yes.
about that.
We
Right.
don't know. about-
Trustee Swain is all over it.
Okay.
Yep,
Um,
go ahead.
I'll support.
Yes. There we go.
Sure, we'll go with that. I don't recall all of Sean's
We'll
notes,
go
but
with
if you
that?
have
Yeah,
any
we'll
notes,
go with
then,
that. They're on my pages.
Okay.
Okay, so.
Do we know what
Motion by
the,
Robert and supported by
I'll support.
Chris Unlow. He already
Oh, never
supported.
mind. He beat me.
He beat you.
all right, we have a motion and support.
Yes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you very much.
And I will send all of you a clean copy.
Anyone have anything else they'd like to talk about? Anything else? All right, then all business has been accomplished, and consider us adjourned. Thank you. Thanks.